Well, we're waiting for Mother.
Hi, friends.
Hey.
I'm here. You guys are doing great anyway. And you're recording. Well done. Yay. Hello. How are you?
Good. You wanna be-
Am I first on the agenda for
You
prayer?
are. Yes.
Right. Well, I'll get that done. Am I in the right spot? Camera wise?
Yes.
Oh, you can see me over there. Well, welcome. It is great to see everyone this morning. Thank you for coming to our Legacy Society Foundation forum, our coffee talk, telling you more about that. Let's begin, as we always do, with meetings and gatherings at the church with a word of prayer. The Lord be with you. Let us pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for all the saints who have created the space that we now do ministry in, inside and outside the walls, for the faithful who established this church back in 1829. That wonderful charter was signed. To those who built parish halls and sanctuaries and put their trust in you. We give thanks for the saints among us now who continue to invest in the future of the church, as we provide for our children and our children's children to have an opportunity to hear more about you and to be closer to you in their walk. Give thanks for the foundation board, for all those who help to discern the best path forward, and for all those at the church also who govern and run and provide for the ministries possible. And most of all, I give thanks for the saints in this room, for their giving and generosity. In your holy name we pray. Amen. All right. This is not my script. I'm turning it straight over to Lo Bealby, who's going to stand right here because it's best for that camera. So
Thank you.
thank you, Lo.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome to our forum. For those that don't know me, my name is Lawrence Bealby. I go by the nickname Lo. And after we've had a few drinks, I can tell you where that came from. It's a long time ago. So my job is to introduce you a bit to the St. John's Foundation and to talk about its 1829 Legacy Society. Our job is to give you a little background into the foundation and into the society. What does it do and how we can involve you? We're excited you're here, but I'd like to talk a little bit about how the foundation gives the St. John's members a way to give back to the church in perpetuity. Your gifts will live on in perpetuity, and those gifts, financial gifts, are faithfully managed by a foundation board. You'll hear from some of those members today, and your gifts benefit the church in certain ways. The foundation is overseen by a board of directors, as you might imagine, which includes our rector, our senior warden, who's here today, a chair, and members of the church. The foundation meets regularly. Right now, we meet once a quarter, and we look at the investments, and we look at the portfolio, and the foundation considers recommendations by the church board of directors of vestry to decide where best to use some of those funds to help the church. So first of all, what is the foundation? No, it hasn't existed since 1829. It began in 1999 with a bold vision. That vision was to encourage and to accept planned financial gifts for the future of St. John's Church. And those gifts can be from members of the church, but can also be from anyone who's interested in benefiting our St. John's Church. You can see the mission on the website, the outstanding St. John's website, and it'll give you some background into it. It's a way to endow and to support the long-term financial health of St. John's Episcopal Church. The funds are invested and managed by a professional wealth management team. Thankfully, it's not managed by people like me. It's managed by professionals who know what they're doing, and it's done very well. The planned gift can be a bequest, it can be a clause in a will, or it can be life insurance proceeds. There are many ways that you can benefit the church simply by working with our foundation. It can be retirement account funds, it can be a transfer of securities, real estate, or other assets. There are many ways. In fact, I asked for, how about a list of the grants that have been provided by the foundation over the last several years? It's an outstanding, lengthy list. It's also available on the website, or to any of you that ask. Let me just give you a few. So grants that have been made by St. John's Foundation in 2020, which not this year, but last year. Just a few examples: a full summer Meals for Children feeding program, participation in the Diocesan Convention, donations to Episcopal University Center, Ruge Hall, need-based scholarship for youth, St. John's second annual concert series, Seminarian Support, and then in 2021, Foundation Mission, St. John's Speaker Series, The Front Porch, which was an outstanding program, and Children's Christian Curricula, which is singular for curricula. The gifts do a lot. So let me be clear, the foundation exists to accept these bequeaths and these gifts, and then they manage the funds. And for any of the accumulation of those funds, every year there's a request by the vestry to make certain grants to disperse that. And I'm pleased to say it's been remarkably successful for a number of years since 1999. And now I'm going to introduce to you the chair of the foundation. My personal opinion, he's the mastermind, and this is Ray By, chair of the foundation board of directors.
Thank you, Lo. Thanks everyone for coming today. My task was to, first of all, give you a little bit of a financial overview of the foundation and then talk just for a minute about the Legacy Society. From a financial standpoint, I'm going to give you a few numbers like any financial report should, but at the end of September 2020, we had $1.58 million under management, 1.58. At the end of September of this year, we had $2.09 million under management. That is a $506,431 increase from year to year, and it actually provided us with a net increase after expenses and after grants of 24.2% return. Now, I must say that our financial manager said it's not going to get much better than that for a year's period. So, but we did have a great year, and I hope many of you did in your retirement accounts as well. Over the past 5 years, our funds under management have increased from 1.23 million in 2016 up to the 20.90, 2.090 in 21, or a 40.7% increase, $850,669 over that 5-year period. So that is a much more reasonable growth pattern, but it's a 40.7% increase over those 5 years. One of the things that the foundation did this past year, and actually started looking at a couple of years ago, was moving our portfolio away from any fossil-based companies, fossil fuel, and moving it into clean energy areas. Very consistent with the church, very consistent with a number of other organizations that are moving their portfolios in that same direction. Foundation board completed that transition, working very closely with Capital City Trust Group, which is our financial manager that Lo made reference to. And we've made that transition effective September of this year. So that transition is complete. We're watching it very closely to be sure that there are no adverse impacts of that. But we felt like it was important to let you know that we made one of those kinds of repositioning decisions in this past year. Now that's a little bit of the focus on the financial. Let me talk just for a minute about, give you an update on the Legacy Society. For those of you who may not know, the Legacy Society was established in August of 2016, so it hasn't been around very long. During that August 2016 period, the board took a full-day retreat where we had worked on over the past year, previous year from that, working on revising some policies that have been in place almost since the inception of the foundation itself, how to invest the funds and what kinds of gifts the foundation could accept. Those two policies were revised, updated, if you will, and added to that was a brand new spending policy, which the foundation had never had before 2016. It basically gave us a model on how to be able to expend the funds in the endowment on your behalf. That spending policy limits us to 4% spending through grants and fees, but also allows the rest of that growth to go into and build the endowment. So in August of 2016, when we established the Legacy Society, we had 7 members of the church, former members of the church, most of who were deceased at that point, who had made gifts to the church or to the foundation. So they became our first 7 Legacy Society members. And by the end of 2016, over that next 5-month period, we added an additional 26 members of the Legacy Society, giving us a total of 33 Legacy Society members at the end of 2016. By the end of 2018, we were up to 72 members. And in October of 2021, this last month, we were up to 97 members. So we're hoping that sitting in the audience today, maybe right here in person or by Zoom, we have at least 3 more members that very soon will become number 98, 99, and 100 of our society. Now, before we pat ourselves on the back, I just want to mention to you that a couple of years ago, we went through a strategic planning process. The foundation went through that same process as the church did. And one of our goals during that was to establish by the 200th birthday of the foundation of the church in 1829 to 2029, 200th birthday of the church, we wanted to have 200 members of the Legacy Society. Now we've got about 5 or 6 years left to go, but we're almost to the halfway point. So as I say, instead of patting ourselves on the back, we've still got a good bit of work to do. And with your help, we'll tell you a little bit more about how we're going to get there. But most importantly, that's very important to take a look at the members that are currently members of that society. The names are listed in Grant Lounge, and they are good parishioners. They are great members of St. John's Church, and they're all part of our family. So take a look at them, consider joining with them and joining with us. I'll take just a second to say that the 2 main committees of the foundation are the Finance and Investment Committee, which oversees and works very closely with our professional managers at Capital City Trust, meeting with that advisor quarterly, talking about where things have come from, where things may be going, determine whether there are any changes to the investment portfolio that need to be made. So these year-to-year returns are a very important oversight responsibility of the Finance and Investment Committee. On the other hand, we got a Programs Committee, which oversees the Legacy Society and really looks at the long term as opposed to the quarter to quarter or even the year-to-year basis of the returns on the endowment. The Legacy Society, with plan givers, will be the ones that actually grow that endowment over the long term. They'll be the ones, or the Legacy Society members, as those 9,700, 200 requests begin to come in. That's where the endowment will grow. Now, to give you some reason to understand how that endowment growth affects money that's going into the church, over the past 5 years, the foundation has made grants to the church starting in 2017, following that spending policy, of $28,900. In 2018, $32,500. 2019, a little over 35,000, sorry. In 2020, 38,500. And in 2021, we're up to almost 42,000. So you can see every year as the endowment grows, the monies that we send to the church through grants grow. And that's why your plan giving is so important to the church. With that, let me turn it over to our senior warden. Doug Sessions is not only our senior warden, but by that is also a very important member of our foundation board. Doug.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. One of the things that Ray failed to mention is, as senior warden, I'm an ex officio member of the foundation board, and I have no vote. So I can basically say anything I want to say, but I'll be good, right? I promise. And you guys have heard the process, and you heard Lo talk a little bit about some of the programs that the foundation has funded in past years. I just want to give you an idea of how that process works. In late August through September, Kate Kyle and the financial team put together a draft budget for the following year. The end of November, that budget's in place, and she scours it with a very sharp eye, trying to figure out what we're not going to be able to meet as far as our budget is concerned, and see if there's areas of interest that the foundation may be a part of and be a help to the church. A couple of things, and these have all been touched on, but I just want to go over it again. The criteria that the foundation looks for is advance the church mission, obviously, be unique projects, and we have a host of those at St. John's, and enhance the foundation's visibility, because we can't grow the foundation if we don't show what it is. And that's a lot of what this presentation is for today. The mission is to protect the buildings and grounds of St. John's. And we put a lot of money into the buildings and grounds in the last few years, thanks to Charlie and Michael and some other folks. And we want to make sure they stay in good working order. We want to fund special projects for Christian ministry, promote Christian education. And one of the most important aspects is support the worship and music at St. John's. By mid-November, December, Kate presents that list to Ray and the foundation. They take a look at it, approve the ones that look good. I did miss one thing earlier. When Kate compiles the budget, it goes to the finance committee of the church. Jim Messer's the chairman, and they approve that budget so that it sits in that draft mode until we get to the foundation, and then we get to the vestry. And when it comes to the vestry, they make final approval on the budget. Like Ray mentioned, for the last 5 years or so, there's been anywhere from 28 to 30,000. Now we're up to 42,000 that the foundation will help fund. Then it goes to you guys at the business meeting. Full presentation, full disclosure on the budget, so everybody knows what's going on and what's being paid. The process is a lot easier than it sounds. Kate does all the really heavy lifting, and I have to give some credit to the church treasurer as well, because she reminds me of that. But just to give you an idea, over and above what Lowe's already mentioned, the projects that look like they're going to be on the list for this year, St. John's Cemetery repair and maintenance. I know Bill and Betty like to hear that. A full summer's back on the list. Choir tour to England. We're finally going to have the choir tour if all goes well. Our Ecuador missionaries. Vestry retreat. That's very important, because the vestry gets an idea of what the foundation actually does. And we can help promote that from internally in the vestry, and help vestry members that aren't members of the Legacy Society come on board. The Diocesan Convention Ray mentioned. Walking the Mourner's Path. Invite, Welcome, Connect. We have had so much success with Invite, Welcome, Connect. We've had our membership growth at St. John's has been nothing short of phenomenal over the last 4 or 5 years. A lot of that goes to that program, because that's something Dave and Abby brought in, and it's been very successful. Youth Confirmation, the speaker series. We all love to see these speakers come in. Most of them are really good. Some are dogs, but most of them are really good. And we'll jump the clergy if they don't show up for the right reasons. Seminarian support. We have a seminarian. We've had a seminarian, gosh, every year since I can remember, I think. Children's Christian curriculum, we talked about. Scholarship for Youth Happening. The choir school. You guys have heard a little bit about the choir school. You're going to hear a lot more over the coming years. We hope to have that up and going pretty soon. The bell tower. We always need refinements to the bell tower and to the bells themselves. I don't know if any of y'all are around Tuesday. Wasn't it Tuesday, Abby? We rang the bells 700 times in an hour for all those who died of COVID. The thousand increments of folks who died of COVID, and you could hear it all over downtown. It was really sweet. Recitals and concerts, and AV and communication intern. We have one right here today. There's a lot of smart people at St. John's. I'm not one of them, but most of them don't know who about AV and IT and that kind of thing. And thank goodness we've got people like Claire, who is on staff and able to do that kind of thing. Abby is our full-time Zoom coordinator. She's there to turn Zoom on when nobody else dare even touch the machine for fear of breaking it. I include myself in that category. Ray, I hope that covers what I was intended to do. I think everything you hear today is going to be for the sole purpose of trying to solicit new members to the Legacy Society, new dollars to the foundation. It's important to the long range safe being and well-being of St. John's that we build it up as much as possible. As we continue to build that up, and if we hit those 200 members by the 200th anniversary, that's just more and more money that's going to go into the budget on a regular basis. Now, since I've ran way past my allotted time, it's indeed my pleasure to introduce Sarah Paul Proctor Miller, who is a member of the foundation, a lawyer in good standing, a big time mother, and a member of the foundation board. Sarah Paul.
Thank you. All right, well, my duty today is question and answers. And just in case you all did not have lots of burning questions, that we did kind of throw the net out beforehand to see what questions people would ask. And a lot of them are very basic questions that have already been answered, but I'll go through a couple of those and you all can think about if you've got any questions you want to raise as well. But one is, are you wanting my money now? And that's what, honestly, I think there are a lot of people who don't really understand what a planned gift is because we're not using that terminology in everyday life. And that's saying a gift in the future. So if you'd like to give the foundation your money now, that will never be turned away. But what we are looking for is more what Lo has talked about when you're putting things in your will or life insurance policies and the gifts that come in the future. And so when we talk about this list of gifts that are given right now, the grants that have been given by the foundation, those are not grants. Those are not happening because of money given by current members. Those are happening because of people who made these gifts when they passed away. So in other words, it is the deceased who are allowing these grants to the choir trip, these grants for speakers. So they keep giving even after their death. And that's what's neat about the foundation to me, to think that I or my family can have an impact on St. John's long after we're gone, or we can keep it thriving and keep these unique projects going that the budget may not cover.
Y'all monitor our health regularly?
Yes, yes. I don't slip anything in your drinks. The other question was, do I have to have a lot of money to become a member of the Legacy Society? And the Legacy Society is just another term for someone who has said, yes, we are putting St. John's in our will or in our life insurance policy, whatever your planned gift is. And no, you don't have to have a lot of money to do that. Any gift makes a difference. And as Ray pointed out, those gifts add up and they can grow. And because of the sound investment we've got from people, as Lo said, that are educated in that arena of how to make that money grow, a small gift can have a big impact. And the bigger that endowment grows, the more money we're allowed to give off, because we want that endowment to stay together. We don't want to be pulling away from the principal that's been put in there. This is the additional funds that we're raising, so we want it to keep growing long after we're all gone. Another question was, do I have any say in how my money is used? And in some ways, yes, in the sense that the foundation board is always open to hear your thoughts and your ideas on that. And the foundation board's in constant communication with the trust company that's managing the money and is eager to answer any concerns or thoughts that you may have. And then also you have a say in the sense that the process that Doug just went through, where the vestry, who's elected by this church, is making the suggestions, and the foundation board, which is open to nominations from anybody in the church body, is making those decisions. So it's the people that you are choosing who are approving or who are monitoring the financial investments made by Capital City Trust Force. And then can I make an anonymous donation to the foundation? And the answer is yes. You can do it anonymously or put your name on there. So does anybody have any other questions yes?
You have donor designated gifts.
If it is 250,000 or above, then they can be a donor designated gift, yes.
Bill Trexler, what does that mean?
It means if I wanted to go to the feeding program at X, and I can give $250,000, they will see that the income off of $250,000 of the foundation goes to that group. Churches really prefer non-donor designated gifts. I'll put that little plug in. But this is absolutely a critical thing for a parish like St. John's. In my latter years, I served 3 parishes and helped get such groups started. Several of them had several $1 million that the finance committee just loved to play with. And, I was the ogre because I got somebody to help put that into order, and it took it away from the finance committee into a foundation committee, because it really needs to be separate from what's going on day to day. Requests can be made by other groups within the congregations, but that needs to be somewhat of an autonomous group. But you've got the protection of the vestry council having to approve whatever those grants are. So that's always keeps it in the system of ministry. Sometimes when we're responsible for growing endowments, we get pretty attached to making it grow, and we're less concerned about how it's being used. So it sounds like you have 2 wonderful ways to work together on that. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that Carla and I will be one of those 3. Unfortunately, the parish where our membership is will lose out part of what has been designated there. But because we feel so strongly about that, we don't think, I've told people, don't burden your children with all of your estate. I have seen that ruin kids. And you've seen it in large corporations where the first generation of leadership who build up the corporation, it's wonderful, and the next generation just blows it. They don't have the same values, and a lot of times don't have the same passion for whatever the vision is in that group. But I'll tell you a little anecdote too. If we have attorneys in the room who do wills, okay. My first parish was in Miami, and I was an associate pastor in a large congregation there back in the early 1970s. And every year we got 3 or 4. They had no foundation at all, but every year we got 3 or 4 estate gifts. And I couldn't understand it because I hadn't seen that happen in other congregations. And we had an old downtown Miami crusty lawyer named Harry Cinnamon. And I learned Harry helped most of the people in the congregation write their wills. And so Harry would just say, are you going to consider tithing your estate to the church? And I never thought about that. Well, why don't we think about that? Well, no, let's do that, And that's all it took, was just somebody making a suggestion at the right time. And that doesn't take away from family or anything else. It's just, some estates are much larger than others. But, no, and everybody has more money than they think they do. I mean, if you have a house in this day and age, it doesn't have to be a mansion. It's worth a nice piece of change. And many people don't even think about that, especially if they've been in their home 30 or 40 years. But that is for many people their largest asset. But I didn't mean to get into the sermon mode here.
It's good.
I'm very passionate about this because in parishes like this, you want to take care of your facilities, and there are a lot of them here in these downtown churches, and you can't do it out of the regular budget, or else you have nothing left for what I call mission. But you don't want to spend it all on yourself that way. And so some of it I hear that you're nurturing faith in a variety of groups, but also I would just say be wary of, or be aware of other mission options in the city that would be giving away. So it's a both and. Here ends the reading.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions? Yeah, I thought your hand was up. It's been answered.
Sarah Ball,
Yes.
do people understand that if they make a gift, a planned gift, and then 30, 40 years later, they can add to it? Or, I don't know if this has ever happened that I know of, but that they make a planned gift and then things go awry completely, they can say, we can't do this.
Right.
It's not sheriff's not gonna come get you.
Right.
And that's, so it's, now I've said it, that's it. That's all she would say.
And sometimes if you're doing it in terms of a percentage as opposed to a flat amount, then that fluctuates with whatever you've got to give at the end of life. But yes, it is flexible.
And I would say that if you have any questions, call somebody and ask. Call Ray by. He'll take you for a glass of wine. But you can call Ben Bowersock. Just ask. Even if it's a little question, because then the next time you'll have another little question and pretty soon. Preston.
Do you have a planner who is not connected with the church? Sometimes people are a little, they don't necessarily want to deal with somebody who knows them. And I know in our system, we have a gift planner system throughout the United States. And I know we worked with that person. And, you can sort of lay your stuff out there for them. And it's not quite like everybody else is going to know, or somebody, in our system would know that way.
We do not have one assigned at this point. Ben Bowersock, who is a member here and does have experience in that, he is willing to meet with anybody to help them figure out what's the best fit for them. But we certainly.
That can be fine.
Yeah, if somebody wants to find their own, then that works as well, of course.
So would a person come to a member of the committee and just say, I'd like to talk to somebody
How does
about?
one make a planned gift?
How does one make a planned gift?
Yes.
Is that the question? There is a letter of intent,
Thank
which
you.
is available on the website. And what that letter says is what you plan to give. It does not have to be a dollar amount. You don't have to include that, but you can include in there if it's a life insurance policy, if it is in your bequest in the will, what the nature of the gift is. You can include the amount. And you can also include in there whether you would like the gift to be anonymous or the name included. And so that letter of intent is available on the website or in the church office or via Ray.
I think the key word is letter of intent. So it's not binding.
Right.
And Lina, your question, if somebody decides to change their mind,
They can change their mind.
tear it up.
All right, well, I guess I pass it over to you to close, or is there any?
Close it.
Would you like to close? Would you like me to close?
You can close.
Okay, well, we appreciate you all coming. If anybody does have any questions, I'm going to ask the members of the foundation board to stand and raise a hand, just so you can kind of know who is in here that you can ask. And we appreciate your time. We appreciate your interest, and please follow up if you have any additional questions for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.